Good afternoon, it's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, in this video I just wanted to show you really what is going on behind the veil, and show you first of all how this platform has been treating me now for a good 4 months. And you know, this is nothing short of Nazism. This is the same thing that took place in the late 1930s before the Second World War. This is how they persecuted people then, and they are using the very same tactics again right now to do it to people like me on platforms like this. And you know, if you subscribe to any other channels that talk about controversial subjects, you will hear them saying the same thing. So a lot of people have lost their channels completely, but I wanted to show you firsthand exactly what they're doing. And if you think this is just related to me, yeah, and a few people on these platforms that have got, you know, reasonable amounts of people following them, I mean, by all means, my channel's not that big compared to a lot of others, yet you can see that they see the amount of subscribers we've got as a direct threat, because I'm going to point out a few things. First of all, if you look at the channel violations there, you can see that we've had a strike, which is, I believe, going to be lifted in a few weeks' time. That's if we don't get any more. But on the channel analytics there, you can see we've got 30,624 subscribers, but in the last 28 days we've lost nearly 86 of those subscribers. This happens to me every month. But if you go down to the summary where the revenue is, you can see it's down 14%. So they've given me a strike, they've unsubscribed 86 of my subscribers, and they've also reduced the amount of income I make on the videos, which helps the observatory. And it's not a lot of money, as you can see anyhow. By the time that gets converted into sterling, it's not a lot of money. But the point is this: they're giving you strikes for talking about things like COVID-19, or you've also supposed to be talking about election rigging and things like that. Or I'm going to show you, even if you mention the World Health Organization in a negative way, you get penalized for that as well. The whole point of this is to show you that there is no freedom of information, and there is no democracy, and there is no freedom of speech anymore. And they are not willingly coming out on mainstream media and talking about this. Now, if mainstream media did have the public interest at hand, they would be screaming like anything on this earth that people's freedoms are being abused, clearly, because there are thousands of cases like this of mine. Now, we know, if you're a scientist working for an organisation, especially in the business of climate, so if you're a climatologist, you are going to be definitely under watchful eyes. And it will be like this: you will tell people what we tell you to tell people with regards to what's going on and the causes of climate change. Otherwise, you will lose your funding, you lose your job, your pension, etc., etc. If you do not think that people are being threatened right now with their jobs and their livelihoods, because if they speak out, that's what exactly will happen, then just do some research. That's why our little observatory is so valuable right now, because we don't have public funding from these government organisations. Because if we did, they would say, look, Genie boy, we're going to cut your money if you don't stop talking about these subjects that you are in the manner in which you are. You know, if we lived in a democracy like our ancestors over hundreds of years have fought for, and the freedoms that they fought for, no organisation in the world would put up with such an offence on humanity as silencing people in such a way. And if you think it's just related to people on YouTube and Twitter and other platforms like that, trust me, you don't know how they are meddling in your business already. A lot of people think that they can go out there freely and protest. You've got no chance, especially in this climate with the pandemic around the world. If you talk about certain subjects, or you have certain views. I'll just mention a recent election in 2020 in one of the biggest countries in the world. If you talk about that subject now, you are classed as a domestic terrorist. You don't know if your name goes onto a list, and whether when you book a holiday with your family, you get to the airport and they say, I'm sorry, your privilege of being able to fly has been revoked because you're a domestic terrorist. Your views are considered extreme and it's not safe for us to allow you to travel. It won't be long, guys, before they extend their arm of strength further, because the more people that become aware of what they're doing will pose more of a threat to them, and then they will have to push back a little bit harder and the restrictions will come in even more. It's like this week in Birmingham, an aircraft coming from one of the countries that was on the red list, and 4 of those people that was on there didn't declare the country that they came from, and they received a £10,000 fine each. I think a lot of people would say is extreme. And this is how they enforce their laws. Also, if you're flying in from these countries now, you have to go into a government provided hotel or accommodation for 10 days at a cost of £1,500. So the restriction of freedom of travel has already took place. We don't know how long this will be enforced for. But we've lost a lot in a year or so over the course of this pandemic, and as a result of that, there has been a massive grab of democracy off of people and freedoms. I want to show you a few other things, guys. So we're looking at channel content on my channel, behind the doors, or behind the scenes if you like. You can see the last 3 videos I've done, but if you go down to the World Health Organization is a scam title, and then just look at monetization, you'll see that it's been limited. And the reason why it's been limited is because they want to protect the World Health Organization for, you know, whatever reason, but I think they do deserve criticism, because that's why we're all in this mess right now. Is because our countries took our taxpayers' money, our money, you know, that we pay tax on the hour by, not like Amazon that don't pay tax at all, or all these other big multi-billion-pound companies don't pay any tax. Our tax money, and they invested it in the World Health Organization that was supposed to protect us and give a heads up of any pandemic outbreak and nip it in the bud, and they failed. And I don't blame Donald Trump cutting the money, because exactly what he said was true. You know, they failed in their primary objective, and therefore, you know, what are we giving them money for? They couldn't have cost America any more with this pandemic outbreak than what they did, as well as the rest of the world. It hasn't just been a cost in lives, it's been a cost in money and freedoms and democracy. That company, the World Health Organization, should be either dramatically reshuffled or shut down, as far as I'm concerned, because they failed in their primary objective to protect the world population's health. So here we see these world organisations now protecting these people by, you know, penalising people that say anything bad against them. Again, Nazism, what we witnessed in the history back in the 1930s. First it starts with information, then they start to burn the literature, which are, in this day and age, accounts on these you know, alternative news stream outlets like, you know, this one and others, and then it is the burning of people. We've not seen that yet, but trust me, it's only a matter of time. So now we're looking at channel analytics, and the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is the psychological attack and method that they're using. They're saying that my channel receives, you know, a usual amount of views of around 31,700 to 39,500, and it's complete and utter fabrication. It's a lie. It's not even close to the true amount. I'm going to show you what the true amount of views are, because Google, who pay me for the advertisements on YouTube, have a different figure. And the reason why they have to have a correct figure is because they would be put straight in court for stealing off of people. And we have a contract. Anyone that has does any business with Google AdSense has a contract with them, and we both have to abide by it, and that would stand up in a court of law. But YouTube are very crafty. There's not such a contract between me and YouTube, and they can get away with doing things like this. So I want to show you what the real amount is. They're saying 31,000 to 39,000. I'll show you what the real amount is over the period of 21 days or 30 days or so. So just below the top right hand corner, you can see that this is a period of 30 days, and if we go to here, we can see page views. It's 98,999, so it's not far off 100,000. So we are getting 3 times more views on our channel that YouTube are not recording for some reason. It's part of the psychological attack on me, because it makes me feel like nobody's actually interested in the subject of, you know, the things we talk about, but it also is an attack on you as well, because you see the low view counts, you think, oh, he's not very popular, what he's got to say must be not interesting, and therefore, you know, you tend not to watch the video or even subscribe to it. I will say we have lost around 25% since we've been under attack over the last 5 months by YouTube of our views, and you know, it will continue to go down as long as YouTube continue to kick 100 subscribers off the channel every month like they're doing. It's a slow, tedious, painful and torturous method that they use, you know, and it's terrible. You know, I want to say this: if you're working for YouTube and you're working for GCHQ, do you know that you are taking part in removing democracy from the countries in which you are participating in right now? And you know, I know exactly what you're going to say, Gene. I've been told to do this job, I've been paid to do this job. If I don't do this job, somebody else is going to come in and do this job for me. So whether I do it or not, somebody is going to do it. This is how they justify it to themselves, to their own conscience, so that they feel better about it. But I'll just tell you this: I've heard drug dealers talk about the same thing. Gene, if I don't sell crack or heroin to this person, the next person's going to come along and sell it to them. So why shouldn't I earn money off it? They're going to want it, and they're going to get it from somewhere. It's just, you know, what is happening here is the destruction of other people's lives for, you know, another person's gains. It's ill-gotten gains to start with. This is why, you know, we've been warned in the Bible about this behaviour. Every time this becomes rife in a society or in an era, you know, terrible things happen. It's been shown in the Bible a few times. I'm not going to mention where, you know, you can go and research it yourself. It's the same behaviour that comes about: wickedness, corruptness, greed, all these behaviours. When they're becoming rife and it's the only way to do business, then all of a sudden there's a massive catastrophe. A couple of questions that might come to mind is: who is responsible for the attack on the democracy in the world and the freedoms? And secondly, how are they going about it? How is this even legal? You know, when we have certain laws that protect us. Well, I'll show you. First of all, it's the governments. Second of all, it's the lobbyists that work behind the veil behind the government. You know, these lobbyists come from big companies, big pharma, big tech, you know, big manufacturing companies. You know who they are, because they own, there's only about 8 of them anyhow that own pretty much everything in the world with regards to business. So you know who they are. They own the media groups, they own all the food production, they own the energy companies. You know who they are. And you know your own governments, and yet your governments are aiding them. And I'll show you how they're doing it right now, with regards to getting away with breaking the laws of, pressurizing platforms like YouTube to suppress the information that people like me put out there. Pay attention to this. If we go down to Article 10 and 11 of the Human Rights Act, you will see how they have allowed themselves to abuse this under the climate of COVID-19. It says there, Article 10, freedom of expression. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold an opinion or opinions and receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority. Do you understand what that means? Public authority cannot stop somebody having an opinion or expressing information, or they have a right of freedom of expression and a freedom to hold opinions and have alternative ideas. But it says in the second paragraph, the exercise of these freedoms, since it carries with it duties and responsibilities, may be subject to such formalities, conditions, restrictions and penalties as are prescribed by law and are necessary in a democratic society in the interests of national security, territorial integrity or public safety for the prevention or of disorder, of crime, for the protection of health or morals. Right, for the protection of health is exactly what they've used here, because they're saying if this person is talking about COVID-19 and the vaccines that we've provided in such a negative manner, then it is a threat to people's healths, and therefore that backdoor gives them then the ability to approach the platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and pull your site, the information you put up there, etc., etc. This is how they've knitted all this together under COVID-19. And that is why, if governments are going to go to these levels to, completely remove democracy from a society that has, they have no right to do so. And if they're going to take the freedoms away from people, which they have no right to do so, we find ourselves right now back in that time period where it was just before millions of people died, and the behaviours that are being shown right now are exactly the same as what was back in the 1939s. We have the right to freedom of assembly, but just like the above Article 10, in Article 11 it also states in paragraph 2, unless health, for the protection of health. Here again, this is how the government can arrest you for protesting, holding events, organising protests. You can get serious fines in the UK, and I bet you can elsewhere. But not only that, if you protest, you're holding an illegal event now, because it's no longer legal to protest, because it's considered against protection of health because of COVID-19. Do you understand what I'm trying to show you guys? Really? We can deal with nature on one hand with the magnetic pole reversal, but this is something that's definitely affecting us right now, and is being used. They've put us in checkmate at the moment. We can't move left, right, forward, backwards. We have got very limited movement, and that is just what they want before they make an announcement, which they are about to do. They're going to say, because of the conditions of this pandemic and the way in which it's changed the world, we're going to have to adapt to now the conditions of this pandemic, and this is how they're going to bring out this great reset. We're going to get more globalism, but it isn't going to be the globalism that is of benefit to mankind. It's going to be the globalism that's of benefit to just a very small minority of maniacs, psychopaths that have a lot of money, that have the euphoria of thinking that because they've got a lot of money, they've got a lot of power, which in some circumstances they do have. Let's face it, if you've got money, you can do a lot of things. If you've got no money, you can't do nothing. So in some circumstances they do have a lot of power, but they feel it is their duty when they become rich. If we look at Bill Gates, they feel it's their duty, because they've got this wealth and power, to guide humanity in certain directions, when I feel that is down to the general public making their own decisions and where they want to go, not just one rich psychopath or a small amount of these psychopaths. I don't want them dictating where the course of my life and my children's life and my generations after me lives are in the future, because we have a different opinion. I live in the real world where, every hour of labour is sweat and blood to raise a few bucks. Their life is a life of freedom, travel anywhere they want, buy anything at all they want. We don't live in the same world. These people are self-proclaimed emperors of the world, and they know it. They live in billion-pound houses, have billion-pound yachts, and then at the same time talk words such as sustainability, cutting carbon, yet they're the ones driving round in, flying round in private jets, when they could easily be on a commercial jet or a passenger jet like the rest of us. If a jet's got to go in the air, then, and it's got empty seats on it, then why aren't they taking up them empty seats? It's because they don't live in the same world as us, and they don't think the same as us. It's all right for them to break all the rules and laws, yet for us, we get put in jail straight away, and we know it, don't we? We get hit with rubber bullets, tear gassed and water cannoned, and then told even now that we've lost all our freedoms without them announcing it. Why don't any mainstream media, CNN, BBC, Sky News, why don't they tell people exactly right now at this very moment that there is no democracy in the world? Because there would be fire out in the streets. There would be angry, and there would be war out in the streets. If they told people you have no human rights, you have no freedoms, you have no democracy, the world tomorrow would be on fire. And that's why these yellow cowards, chickens and pussies do not make such announcements, because they would be swinging from London Bridge like pom-poms, and you know it. They would hang them faster than they put Jesus Christ on the cross. They are cowards. That's why they don't make announcements. That's why they don't inform the public. That's why they go after people like me, because we are a real threat to them. And it is right up in their face, if they're watching this, what they have done. I warn you now, guys, you're seeing them coming after the big mouths like they classify us as at the moment. It ain't long before they're knocking on your door. Trust me. We're all in this together. 99% of us are in this together, and the way they're treating us right now is exactly how they're going to be treating you tomorrow. You've been told, some of you can't go to work, and we're going to give you 80% of your salary, and you will have to put up with that because we've got laws to enforce it. You're going to have to do it. What, you're going to protest on your own? You know how many people have lost their houses, couldn't afford to pay the mortgage in the United Kingdom alone over the last year? How many billions of pounds worth of business has been lost in the United Kingdom alone? You top barrel around the world. And how many people have experienced the suppressive behaviour of this Nazi regime that has appeared back on the block in our modern day and age? It's colossal. It's not just adults that have lost, it's children as well. I hope you understand what I've showed you in this video. And you know tomorrow this ain't going anywhere. This is stopping until they force their agenda. And it is, you either deal with the problem now, or you allow the problem to get much worse, and it will. And I'll just give you for instance. Well, it started back in 1939 of burning the books and smashing glass windows and pulling people out of the businesses and giving it to other people just like that. And then people were being put on trains. You think that the mentality of only 90 years of people then has disappeared today? That same hatred is here today. Trust me, if Jesus Christ come back today, he'd be threw up on the cross quicker than anything. We'd have him up on that cross 4 times faster than what they did in the Roman days. The time is ticking. And you've seen what you're up against, hopefully, in this video. I couldn't have knitted it together any better for you and put it in such a way where you can see step by step what they're doing and how they are manipulating laws to take your freedoms away and your democracy. I'll just briefly mention the link down there if you want to help support the observatory, and some of the other research that we talk about and discuss on this channel. It's entirely up to you, but I will say this: you take care of your loved ones, and as always, bye for now.